over the back. Folks, we're back. In this session, I've got me a guest in here. He's a fellow referee, and we are going to go over the most common mistakes you parents make up in the stands and yelling at us. All right? So I'm going to start off by saying, stop yelling at the referees if you don't know the rules. So let's cover those most important rules, right? I want to go to, this is Rhett. Rhett, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could make it.
Absolutely.
I am going to start with you, all right? Now, you, as your background, for me, most people already know I've been refereeing for 18 years. What's your background a little bit?
Well, let's see, not quite that long officiating. About 15 years, 11 registered with Misha, and first year in college this year.
Okay. So you've got some games actually today, don't you? That you head to?
I'm going to Lawrence after this, to Haskell, for their invitational for a game.
Yeah. Well, very nice. Now, the question I have for you, I know that when I did it, I didn't get yelled at as much when you're at the college level than versus what you are in high school. Do you feel the same way?
Don't know yet.
You're soon to find out, though, right?
Ask me in about 3 months.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get right into it and dive into it. Let's get to the first one that is these are the most common mistakes made by parents up in the stands. You know, and first let's talk just a little bit real quick about how difficult refereeing is, right?
Right.
I don't think people understand how difficult. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, right? So, not a lot of people want to do that job, and there's a reason why. And the reason why is what we're talking about today, and that's what the parents screaming at the referees all the time. Because if you look at our association, which is PBO, go check it out. PBO, we're like, I bet, 75, maybe even higher, 80% of us are 50 plus years old. I know you're not at that mark yet, but I am. But a majority of everybody in PBO is getting older.
Oh, yeah. It's probably at least 50%.
Yeah.
At least. You're probably right, though.
But isn't that an issue?
It's huge, well, it's not just PBO, it's nationwide.
Yeah. Because we've got people all over that it's tough recruiting people wanting to do this job just because the parents are yelling and screaming at the referees all the time, and it makes life miserable.
Absolutely.
I mean, with me and you having the experience we have, we usually let it roll off our back. It doesn't even bother me. I don't even hear them most of the time. Yeah. But these are the mistakes they make. You ready? Number one. What'd you say?
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Number one is traveling. All right. So I'm going to read this to you guys. Okay. It is not possible for a player to commit a traveling violation unless he is holding the basketball. Let's make sure that's clear right up front. Traveling is about the pivot foot, and a player who is not holding the ball cannot establish a pivot foot. A player who is fumbling the ball is not traveling. A lot of people make that big mistake right there because he has no pivot foot yet. Theoretically, a player could juggle the ball from one end of the floor to the other, and no violation would have occurred. I often see plays where one team has a 3-on-1 fast break. The point guard throws a bounce pass to his teammate on the wing who is breaking for the hoop. The player bobbles the pass and takes several steps before he's going into the layup, and the fans go bananas, start screaming, traveling, traveling. 9 times out of 10, they are wrong because the player who bobbled the pass never established a pivot foot. Right. Okay? So, no traveling. You got anything to add to the traveling part of it?
Well, it's funny we bring this up first because we were talking about this at work last week. They were talking about, they don't ever call traveling at any level of basketball. And they were also talking about the NBA, which is a whole nother animal with the 0 step. Let's not even go there. I asked him, I said, what is traveling? And the young kid goes, well, you take 3 steps. And I said, there's nothing in the rule book that talks about taking 3 steps as a travel. It's all about finding and establishing the pivot foot. Correct. And I would say most fans don't even know what the pivot foot is. Like, how do you establish a pivot foot? Well, generally it's the first foot down after you terminate a dribble. That's your pivot foot.
Correct.
And what can you do from there? Well, you can pivot on your pivot foot. You can also lift your pivot foot. But from there, once you lift it, you have to shoot or pass before you put it back down again.
Correct.
And another good example is, okay, I go up to shoot and I come back down with the ball. Okay, it's a travel. Well, why is it a travel? Well, one of those 2 feet have to be my pivot foot, right? I might not have established one yet, but once I jump in the air and come back down, well, it doesn't matter which one was my pivot, it's a travel.
Correct.
So that's why when you jump up with the ball and come back down with the ball, it is a travel. It's not because that's traveling. It's because, well, one of those 2 feet is your pivot foot.
Right.
And you jump in the air. Okay, one of those 2 feet is your pivot. Now you're up in the air. Well, from there, you have to do what? Pass or shoot, right? Come back down. Well, travel. That's why. So parents don't understand that.
Yeah. No,
or fans in general.
Oh, fans in general do not understand it whatsoever. So why don't you take the number 2? Take number 2 that's on the list that we wanted to talk about.
Oh, and also with traveling too, it's and when you get in higher level of basketball, when it comes to spin moves, I guess technically a lot of spin moves are probably illegal, but in the higher level of basketball, it's hard to establish which foot's the pivot. So as officials, we're taught to pretty much let that go as we assume it's a legal play. The only way to really say it's illegal is if you have to slow it down frame by frame, and we don't have that luxury as officials. So
we don't want to have that luxury. The games would last forever if we had to review all those plays.
Okay. Number 2, block charge. So you want somebody to read it directly off here? So in order to draw a charge, the rules provide that a defender is simply required to obtain what is referred to as legal guarding position, end quote, on the dribbler. Legal guarding position is obtained by having both feet on the floor facing the dribbler. That's it. Once legal guarding position is established, the defender is permitted to move in order to maintain his position. The defender is permitted to move. I think people forget that. You don't have to be set. He can have 1 foot on the floor or even be completely airborne and still draw a charge. That's 100% correct.
That's where I think I wish fans truly understood that, because it changed. I mean, back in the day, a long time ago, they had to be stationary, right? It's not that anymore.
Yeah. So in other words, once you're established, what this is saying is once you've established as legal guarding position, both feet on the floor, your torso facing the opponent, once he takes off and dribbles, as long as you stay in front of him, you can move backwards, sideways, or obliquely. Obliquely is more of like in a curved arc, but basically let's just say backwards or sideways and stay in front of him. And if he runs right into you and you take it in the chest and go down, that is an offensive foul. I mean, that is, you're like, as a defender, what did I do wrong? I stayed in front of you, right? Yeah.
No, I agree with you. That's why I wanted to go over this, because I think it's so important that parents understand all these. But the third one I want to jump into, and we're not going to take a lot of your guys' time, but understand, I hope you guys are listening to this closely. So then maybe you can educate the people that are screaming at us. Maybe you're like, hey, I watched this podcast and they were telling this. But over the back, this is the one that drives me nuts.
This is probably this is bonkers.
Well, this one and the next one is. But over the back, there is no such thing as a foul for over the back. Nothing in the rule book whatsoever has that terminology anywhere in the rule book.
I should have brought my rule books in and just hold them up. They're in my car.
Nobody's going to take the time to read all this. That's why I want to do a video like this, so people will start just listening on some of the basic stuff that they're always screaming, yelling at us at. But the question is one of the illegal contact. If In attempting to rebound from behind, the player in the rear pushes and displaces the player with inside position, a foul can be called if, in the judgment of the official, the illegal contact put the inside player at a disadvantage. However, if the contact is minimal and the inside player secures the rebound despite the contact, most officials, listen to that closely, most officials will hold their whistle and not call anything.
Yeah, and not to sidebar off this too much, but as officials, the better officials in general are patient with their whistles. I just want to throw that in there.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can kind of see who's inexperienced and who's experienced, right?
There's a thing called a cadence whistle.
Yeah.
Right.
Explain what a cadence whistle is.
Well, basically, a cadence whistle in layman's terms is a late whistle on a play where you're letting the play finish. And you let the play finish. And I think the best example of this is a player goes in for a layup. There might be marginal contact on the arm or hip or something, right? And if the ball goes in, we're probably gonna play on, right? If the ball's missed, then you could say, okay, cadence whistle, blow your whistle, and say, okay, that contact was deemed enough for the ball not to go in. So then, in layman's terms, it's just a late whistle, letting the play develop.
Did you hear that, folks? Even though we don't blow our whistle immediately and it comes a little later, don't immediately think you need to scream out, "Whoa, you can't call it that late!"
Sure you can.
Yes, we can, and we will.
And we will.
All right, so take that very last one, which is my biggest pet peeve of all.
Okay, the final. 3 seconds. 3 seconds. You got 3 seconds. Oh man, this is the longest one. All right, here we go. You gave me the longest one. All right, get your pillows out, people. All right, people probably
just read fast.
I'm gonna read fast. 3 seconds. People probably scream at us about making the call more than any other. That's true. Folks in the stands believe that it is an easy rule to apply. If an offensive player is in the lane for more than 3 seconds, he has violated. Once again, not true. That's right. The 3-second rule is full of exceptions and qualifications. For instance, the rule provides that allowances to be made for an offensive player who has been in the lane for less than 3 seconds and then receives the ball and drives to attempt a shot. If the player drives, fakes again, and fakes a third time, he's still not in violation of the rule, despite the fact that he's been in the lane for 8 seconds. Ooh, that's more than double. Here we go. Fans also don't realize that each time the ball is shot or tapped, the 3-second count is stopped, and a new one does not begin until a player secures control of the ball. That's true. Finally, the concept of advantage-disadvantage is a big consideration in applying this rule. If the ball is out by the midcourt line, a player standing in the middle of the lane is not gaining much of an advantage, nor is the 5'7" player who is in the lane being guarded by the 6'10" guy from the other team. That's like me guarding you, right?
Hey.
Okay. In such cases,
true though.
Yeah,
Yes.
In such cases, the official is more likely to tell the player to get out of the lane than he is to blow his whistle.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Can you think of with those four? I mean, those are the most common ones that I could think of, and I did some research, brought up, thought we discussed those. But is there any other ones that you can think of that you get several times while you're refereeing?
Probably reaching.
Yeah, that is. Now, is reaching a foul? No, it is not a foul.
Yeah, I can reach all I wanted. Now, if I make contact, now you have a contact foul or a block, maybe. Those are if someone sticks their arm in and their arms extended and the defender goes by and there's contact. Now you're not a legal guarding position anymore, right? Because you're not within your frame. So now you have a block or just a simple contact foul.
Yeah. So I agree. Anything else?
Reaching 3 seconds.
I hate the ones that are up there in the stands going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm like, come on, man.
I think another one, this is not necessarily a rule, but a game manager thing, is look at the foul count. I was doing a game. I'll tell you, I was at East Buck last year, and I won't say who. It wasn't a coach or anything. It was a fan, and the fan yells out, "Look at the scoreboard!" And I turned around and said, "I can read. I know what it says." And the coach got a kick out of it.
But no, that's a good point you bring up, though, because a lot of people, they'll look at a lot of people in the stands, and people that have been around basketball a lot, they think the fouls should be evenly.
Yeah.
sometimes that's just, it can't be the case.
No.
You got one team that's extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
They're going to have more fouls than the ones that are not as aggressive.
And I think another one is too, if you're going to see a foul disparity, if one defense plays zone, another plays man-to-man.
Yeah.
The team that's in zone is in zone for a reason. Why are they in zone? Well, probably because they don't have the athleticism to play man-to-man, or they're trying to protect their best player who might be in foul trouble. So they're going to play zone and protect themselves.
Yeah.
And shorten the passing lanes. Well, they're not going to foul as much because they're not guarding anybody. So.
No, I agree. Now, folks, hopefully this helped you, and maybe, I don't know, I'm hoping to get this spread out a little bit, and then maybe if someone's yelling and screaming that did not see this podcast, and somebody that did say, hey, wait, you might not know the rules. But anything, what's your most memorable, bad or good, experience you ever had as an official?
Well, probably my very first game I've ever did. It was a long time ago. I was doing a league called CRBC. I think it's called Central Rivers Basketball Club. It's a junior league that Lawson, Richmond, Oric, Plattsburgh, Lathrop, etc. And I remember doing my first game. I don't remember what level it was, probably 4th, 5th grade, something like that. And I got out there and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't. And I just remember the whole game. Like, I blew my whistle a couple times. I'm like, man, I don't know if that was a foul or not, or what. I mean, it was just you have to start somewhere, I guess, right? But it was just, it wasn't pleasant.
Yeah.
But I quickly learned that I got to get better at this. So I eventually, I found a rule book, talked to people, other officials. Like, what do you do? Like, where do you stand? Like, what do you do? Like, what makes you a good official? And it took several years. It takes more than a couple years. It probably takes 5 years at least for me to finally get some confidence and know what I'm doing out there.
Yeah, and
it's an art.
It is, and I really do. I don't want to discourage anybody to get into this field because, I mean, I love basketball. It's what I love doing, coaching and refereeing both. Yeah. So I'm on both sides of it, and there's times where I'm coaching and I can hear myself doing things that I probably shouldn't because I know that they're new officials and I shouldn't ride them as hard as I ride them. But no, I encourage all you younger guys and gals out there to get certified, get with a local association. We've got all kinds of training, mechanics training. We got clinics that you can go to all over the place. So
and I know a lot of officials will let you come in pregame and listen, halftime listen, postgame listen, and just getting yourself immersed in officiating is the best way. It's like learning the foreign language. You just got to immerse yourself in it, and it's the same. It's what you have to do. You're not going to get better. You're not going to get better. I mean, you can get better just by like looking at the rule book and studying the rules, but in order to get the most, you just have to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
You got to get on the court and look at the game from a different perspective.
Yeah. Well, good luck today. Hopefully you kill it today. All right. And don't make any bad calls.
Oh, I never make a bad call.
But for you guys out there, I do want to thank you guys for joining in on the podcast today. If you go down there and hit the comments section, let us know if you liked it, if you had any ideas how to correct this any better than what we're doing here.
Over the back.
Over the back. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching. We really do appreciate it.